What is up, ProGuides family? Things are not only different for us here, but I'm sure they're different for many of you as well. As you can tell, we're actually filming now in my room. We just built a wonderful studio and we actually are not able to use it at the moment. I know that times right now seem very hectic and very negative, and if you guys feel isolated or alone, we just wanted to say here at ProGuides that you do have a family with us, you have a community with us. Many of you guys may already know that my name is Christoph, but some of you guys might not know that I started this company with my friend Sam 5 years ago. We had one mission in mind, and that was to get gamers better at gaming. Mostly to get me better at gaming because I was awful, and we never really had an idea of how big of an impact we'd have on our community and the community that you guys helped us build. And it's just astonishing and amazing to see you guys just interact and want to learn and want to get better and improve. And we are just so happy to have you guys here. And although things may seem really grim at the moment, we are here to stay strong for you guys and keep you updated in the game that we love and sometimes hate, and make that game more enjoyable for you guys. Starting Monday, Zyrene will be streaming on our YouTube channel every day, twice a day. You'll be able to play a bunch of games with him and some other big streamers who are actually going to join in on the fun as well. Let's use this time when we're all cooped up to get closer to our family, to grind the league ladder, and to just become better, not only in the game, but in life. Enjoy the video, guys. Our very first pick is Poppy. This girl is highly underrated. Aside from Orange, she's the tank with the most agency in the game, top 3 at least, objectively speaking. Poppy has 4 abilities that provide crowd control, though one of them is situational. 4 abilities, that's insane, guys. You'd think that a champion who has that much utility would have to trade something for it, but not really with Poppy. Although she might struggle a little bit against AP champions, so do a lot of tanks since they all want to build Sunfire Cape first. Poppy is also one of the safer blind pick tanks by far. She can farm safely with her passive and also use the shield it provides to pick up some extra minions as well. Also, if this wasn't to sell you enough, Poppy does a ton of damage. If you haven't played against a Poppy recently, I'm here to remind you, yeah, she does a ton of damage. If you land both parts of a level 1 Q, it'll usually deal around 130 to 140 damage before resistances come into play. At level 2, she's able to deal about 250 damage and stun you against the wall if you're mispositioned. This damage only goes up as she gains levels, and Sunfire Cape buffs have been enormously helpful for her. Poppy covers all the bases and especially for a tank, has some of the highest damage output you could hope for. If I haven't sold her to you guys yet, she also flexes into the jungle now. She's great for those auto-filled games, so make sure to pick her up. Next up is a pretty easy pick to place in this video, and that's going to be a guy we haven't really heard about that much, but one that's really strong. His name is Kled, a champion that can impact the entire map, dominate the lane, and snowball extremely hard is an obvious choice for any pick. What makes Kled better than the other OP picks in the top lane, like Darius or Fiora right now, is the fact that he has a much lower ban rate than they do. Okay, let's play a quick game. 44%, 11%, and 3% ban rates. Guess who's who? I'm sure you can piece it together. That's right, he only has a 3% ban rate compared to Darius's 44%. If you're trying to play Darius, he's banned in almost every other game on Summoner's Rift. Unlike a lot of other top lane carries right now, you get the go button when playing as Kled. You basically just press R and both teams probably know exactly what's going to happen. There's a lot of things to learn when playing Kled as well, and maining him allows you to do something that's very important in League called limit testing. AKA, just run it down once in a while so that you learn something. Other times, well, you're going to be picking up a ton of solo kills. You're also going to be 1v9ing as this guy. Also note, some players have started picking up Blade of the Ruined King on him, which synergizes well with his W. Our last top lane pick is going to be Jace. He's a safe pick, and that's the biggest reason we're throwing him up there. Although he's faced some nerfs since his glory days, Jace doesn't have that many losing matchups. Even in losing matchups, Jace has the ability to farm with his ranged form Q. What makes Jace a great champion to main is that he has a ton of keystone flexibility. You can adapt to your matchup or even your own playstyle. Jace has a ton of different ways that he can be played and is able to impact games in several different ways since he's pretty good at almost everything. Split pushing, sieging, and team fighting are all things Jace is capable of, so if you want a man who can do it all, he's your guy. His win rates have been average overall, but there's a correlation between ranking and his success. High elo players get more bang for their buck when playing him, so that's definitely some food for thought if you're trying to climb. Okay guys, that's a wrap for the top lane. Check out those builds one more time as we head into the jungle. Our first jungle pick is going to be Graves. Amongst a ton of powerful junglers at the moment, Graves has held an astonishingly low ban rate of less than 2%. A decent chunk of players hate him, but not enough to keep you from him 99% of the time. Graves is my guy, he even quit smoking, guys. That's a pretty big accomplishment, so give him a chance. High elo players love him. This champion is aggressive, tough, and ranged. Shorter range than most marksmen for sure, but ranged nonetheless. Graves can kite his opponents and also chase them down with his smokescreen slow and his quick draw. On top of this, he clears the jungle with ease and has ways to play around practically every matchup. His incredible scaling also makes him one of the best champions to carry solo queue with. Without a doubt, Graves is one of the most fearsome duelists in the game, and there's a lot to learn with him. Since he's a jungler with an untargeted dash, your pathing options are much more diverse. There are different gank paths you can take with him, and thus many more things you have to practice. Karthus makes it through a decent amount of games. His ban rate is a little bit on the higher side, but most of those bans come from Diamond and higher. If you're Platinum or below, Karthus is definitely a powerful pick to take into consideration. You'll have to learn how to farm efficiently and how to kite jungle camps, but it'll definitely be worth it. Another one of those R-button champions, Karthus creates a ton of pressure in practically every game just because, well, all he has to do is press R. Especially since this season's jungle is a little bit more rewarding for power farmers, there are plenty of reasons to play Karthus. He scales incredibly, is a decent duelist, and can fix damage splits. How many times have you lost games because your whole team went AD? Well, just play Karthus and you can fix that very easily. My favorite part about playing Karthus is that even dead, you're the hero. If killing Karthus ever seems like the best idea, you might need to reassess. Karthus' passive allows him to play extremely aggressively, and you should be able to take the lead in the damage charts in basically every game you play him. If you're the analytical type, you know that that's largely due to the fact that you get to pad those stats every time you press R. Tanks are back, and that means that Trundle is back too. Trundle isn't only good into tanks though, he deals an insane amount of damage, steals AD, and steals defensive stats as well. Overall, Trundle makes you think twice before you fight him. The only feasible solution is to kite this guy, but oftentimes this might not be enough. His pillar alongside the movement speed bonuses from his W and blue smite make him quite difficult to escape from. Riot has made it clear that they want tanks back, at least to some extent. As the meta continues to develop and as more players begin to pick up tanks again, Trundle's strength will only increase. Here are those jungle builds on the screen one more time for you guys as we head into the mid lane. It should come as no surprise to you guys that Twisted Fate is an incredible champion to carry solo queue games with. Apto used this guy a ton during his insane solo queue climbs, and the amount of map pressure he can exert influences the game significantly. In terms of laning, you'll have to learn when to farm, how to punish mistakes, and how to set up easy ganks for your jungler. From there, you can aim to impact your side lanes as much as you can, and take advantage of Twisted Fate's ultimate to out-macro your opponents. Especially because players overextend a lot in solo queue, you can abuse poorly positioned players by porting on top of them and then one-shotting them. Maybe now you can even do it with the blue card since it's receiving a massive buff. While there are popular solo queue superstar picks like Yasuo and Katarina available, their ban rates are extremely high. Not many people ban Twisted Fate, and he's able to influence games just as much as many of the meta champions in the mid lane. Anytime he enters the fog of war, there's a ton of pressure placed on the enemy team. While it's not going to be as viable as landing a 5-man ultimate with Yasuo or picking up a pentakill as Katarina, Twisted Fate carries games with strong roams and makes sure that the numbers are always in his team's favor. Now, of the many assassin picks readily available to lock in, Ahri is the one that stood out to our analysts. Objectively, she might not be the strongest, but she's definitely a powerful pick. On top of that, she holds the lowest ban rate amongst assassins. I think you'd be crazy if you're choosing to ban Ahri when there are plenty of picks like Katarina and Fizz, which feels so much more oppressive. Ahri is an extremely safe laner as well. She is wave clear, her ultimate can bail her out of most sticky situations, and she's able to one-shot squishies just like any other assassin. However, the biggest reason you need to main Ahri is because of this, her skin line. You'll never have to worry about variety, and you know that Riot is always going to throw more skins at her because she's awesome. But if you want more damage, you're going to have to pick a guy named Vel'Koz. Well, not a guy, more like an alien creature. Vel'Koz is a pick that's been slept on for far too long, and amongst traditional mages, Vel'Koz is in a great spot at the moment. He deals a lot of damage. The biggest issue with him though is that he often feels very fragile. However, his long range and his wave clear makes most matchups playable. At the very least, he can back all the way up and use his Q to tag a minion or two here and there. You'll be able to lock in Vel'Koz nearly every game because basically nobody bans him. Instead, you'll need to intelligently throw your ban at whatever matchups you have the hardest time against. Ask your teammates if they can ban something for you too, or ask if you can trade with someone so you can hide him until later in the draft. His low play rate also means that it's unlikely the enemy team will pick him up as well. Vel'Koz's crowd control and long range make him a giant nuisance for his opponents. When Vel'Koz gets fed, it's almost impossible to beat him. Even if you try to dive him, a well-aimed E can lead to your imminent doom, as he'll blow you up with a full rotation of spells right after. And my god, that ultimate, you cannot escape from that thing. I've tried. Just give up when he does it. Don't even use your flash. His ultimate is such a great team fighting tool, and the DPS, well, he just melts targets from a safe distance. Okay guys, that's it for our mid laners. Let's check out those builds one last time as we head into the bot lane. First up, can you guess it? Yes, it's going to be a hard one, but it's going to be a good one for you guys. It's Lucian. Mobility is a great tool to have, and Lucian's strong early game makes him a solid pick for solo queue. Solo queue forces players to practice intelligent aggression. Use those level 2 power spikes to get hefty chunks in your opponents and control the lane. What makes Lucian a great pick though is how strong he is in those early skirmishes as well as team fights. During the laning phase, he also exerts a ton of kill pressure once he finishes a Bilgewater Cutlass. The slow alongside the help of whatever support he has sets him up for some aggressive all-ins, especially after level 6 with the culling. Lucian's mobility is a vastly underrated addition to his kit because of how much harder it makes it to gank him, and also catch him during team fights. There is a ton of skill expression involved with Lucian as well, so if you want someone that challenges you to improve as a player, you'll want to lock in Lucian. Kalista has also been doing quite well in the bot lane recently. She's slowly gaining popularity, but basically no one is willing to throw a ban at her. At the very least, you'll be able to play Kalista in almost every single game because of how low her play rate is. Her insane scaling and snowballing nature make her a great pick for solo queue. Pick up a random kill, finish an item, and suddenly the game feels really easy. Kalista's mobility and insane mid-game damage output give her the potential to hard carry pivotal teamfights early on. All of her abilities also assist her aggressive playstyle. Aside from the mobility she gains from her passive, the amount of pressure she asserts with her E is suffocating. Reset mechanics are always pretty scary to play with, and while she's not getting to jump into the backline like Tristana, Kalista can utilize minions to reset her E and chase her foes down. On top of this, Kalista is a great pick to secure those neutral objectives which are essential. Ashe is another great pick right now. Her ban rates are also extremely low, and she showed how powerful she was towards the end of last season. Ashe's utility alongside high damage output should encourage marksman players to pick her up. Not many marksmen have the abilities to start teamfights, and Ashe can do it from any distance. Although Ashe has a ton of crowd control and can also scout out the enemy jungle safely, she still deals disgusting amounts of damage. Whenever her opponents miss position, it's difficult for them to get away since Ashe slows them with every auto. This also makes it harder to dive her since she can also use that slow to kite you. Alright guys, that's a wrap for the bot lane, so let's check out those builds one last time as we head to support. Our first support is going to be Nami. With the recent rise in play of mages, Nami has been seeing a little bit more play as well. As a result of the buffs she received a few patches ago, Nami is a support who synergizes well with practically every single bot laner. Aggressive champions make use of her bonus movement speed and slows, while ones who need time to scale up enjoy the sustain she provides. Of course, the fact that she's capable of both means that she can adapt to different circumstances. An aggressive lane partner might need her to sustain to farm out in bad matchups, while a scaling champion can still make use of Nami's crowd control to pick up some takedowns. Nami's held solid win rates for the past few patches now, and you can confidently lock her in nearly every game since she doesn't have many matchups that are impossible. If anything, she's the one that gives most of her opponents a hard time. Amongst playmaking supports, Alistar is the one you'll get most often. His low pick rate as well as play rate mean that you'll be cool, really cool, before it was ever cool. Picks like Leona and Thresh have ban rates that are way too high for you to feasibly lock them in consistently. Alistar is a playmaker and an excellent diver. No one is safer under their turret because of the cow. Once you catch them out with a combo and lock them down, your opponents are going to wish they could move. Ha. Ha ha ha. Especially during those times where your lane partner isn't that great, it's nice to have a champion who can kill the enemy mid laner or top laner instead. Alistar's lack of skill shots also means that it's fairly easy to land his abilities. You're practically guaranteed a flash or a takedown anytime you get in range of an opponent. Okay, so if you make it so easy for your team to carry that they basically don't need to do anything, well, maybe you're the one carrying. That's food for thought for a support. Sona has been killing it on Summoner's Rift recently, ever since they gave her some of her power back. She's one of the best late game champions in the game, so if you're a slow and steady wins the race kind of player, she's your best bet. I know a lot of you guys don't like taking the passenger seat, especially with picks like Sona and Nami, but their statistics illustrate how effective they are at winning games. On top of this, like we already mentioned, a lot of the OP playmaking supports get banned out or picked pretty often. At the very least, it's nice to have one of those other picks handy. Regardless, Sona is an excellent champion because she provides every form of utility you could ask for from a support. She buffs her teammates' damage, heals them, shields them, gives them movement speed, and can stun enemies with her ultimate. Although fragile, Sona excels at providing every form of utility and puts her opponents on a timer. Alright guys, here are the support builds one last time for you as we finish the video.